24. Did you see that guy jump at the judge? Crazy. Yeah, we're gonna do things a little different this year. I know it's late, I got multiple jobs, deal with it. We're not doing the notepad and pen. My friend Ethan Webb turned me on to Letterboxd. So we're gonna be using my Letterboxd list to cap off my top 10 favorite films that I saw in a theater in 2023. So without further ado, let's get started. I want to try add to this every year. I want to try make this different. I don't want this to be the same thing over and over again. I was very disappointed with myself because I didn't do like an honorable mentions in 2022. So for 2023, my honorable mentions, it's all numbered on Letterboxd. So starting off, The Iron Claw. Sad movie. Number 14, Elemental. 13, The Killer. Number 12, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Funny story about that. I took my entire family in Europe to watch it at a European movie theater. Had no idea the movie was going to be completely in Portuguese. Half of them fell asleep. The ones who could understand it also fell asleep. And my little cousin looked over to me and said, "Can we go see this in English afterwards?" Which we did, Kellen. And one day when you see this, I hope you are happy for that core memory. Number 11, The Creator. Just a big sci-fi blowout film. Love having those on the list. It just didn't make my top 10, but it was still great. So without further ado, this is my top 10 favorite films I saw in a movie theater in 2023. Number 10. Saltburn. Hear me out. Yeah, no, it's a wild one. Barry Keoghan, I was not a fan of him. And then I saw this, and I get the hype. I get the hype. I didn't expect such a naughty film, as fun as it is to say. I don't know if anyone else saw the surprise twist coming. I didn't really expect it to come the way that it did. I really enjoyed the thriller aspect. I haven't seen Talented Mr. Ripley. It's been compared to that quite a bit. But after an end scene like this, I don't think you can leave a movie not having been in some way irrevocably changed. This film is one of those that just stays with you, whether you want it to or not. Number 9, Asteroid City. I'm a big Wes Anderson fan. I love most of the stuff I've seen. That's gonna get annoying. This isn't necessarily my favorite Wes Anderson film. I liked all the miniature stuff. I loved the desert aesthetic. There's not many directors working today that can really handle an ensemble cast. There's a couple on this list. How he gets these actors to so perfectly deliver on his humor and his sensibility, his writing, because let's be honest, at this point, Wes Anderson is the brand. It's getting more interesting seeing a Wes Anderson film like every 2 to 3 years because he's pumping these out quick. He doesn't seem to not challenge himself. Every film is becoming more and more dense and dense and dense. It's almost like you're struggling to keep up with the amount of information he hits you with because it comes from all characters at all ends, and it's very, very entertaining and very comical. This is his driest comedy. Number 8, Barbie. You should have known it was going to be on the list. How could it not with a soundtrack like that? The Golden Globes played tonight, so I have no idea if this won Best Anything. The Golden Globes did not affect this list, I'll have you know, nor am I sponsored. I took my mother to see Barbie, because obviously my mom used to play with Barbies, and I used to torture my cousin's Barbies as a kid. But the movie just did not need to be that good. But I didn't expect the emotional gut punch. I shed a tear. I'm human. I shed 2 tears. What can I say, man? When it gets that like final montage, you're just, it's emotional, man. It's beautiful stuff. And for my mom, I do think movies should be for everyone, but there is something to be said about a film that's made for a specific group of people or a specific person or a specific experience. I'm not a woman. However, being in the theater with my mother, who's a female experience I've seen the majority of my life as my mother, seeing her emotionally perceived the film and how it affected her did in a way sweeten my experience. That's the glorious part of going to a movie theater and going with people that can relate to the subject matter. The network connection was lost. Letterboxd is down, folks. Ana de Aramis is telling me pretty much to get... Oh, it's back. It's back. We got connected. Number 7, Poor Things. It was my most anticipated film of the year, not because I think I've seen any of the director's other work. I don't think I have seen like The Lobster or Killing of a Sacred Deer. I haven't seen any of that. But the trailer, when the trailer came out for Poor Things, it's everything I want in a movie. It's obscure, it's strange, it looks well acted because it has peculiar performances. There's big names in this movie, massive people. I mean, they've got like Avengers in this film. You know, like, that's awesome. The movie delivered. It was my most anticipated, mainly just based off its aesthetic and the soundtrack, which, by the way, the music in this is so weird. But I love that. Like, I just love how weird. I would buy the soundtrack on vinyl. I will buy it on vinyl. It'll be in vinyl. Such a dirty movie. Number 6. Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Yep, I don't give a shit, guys. It's part of my childhood, and I love James Gunn. I don't have to justify myself more than that. I'm a big fan of this. The first Guardians film is my favorite Marvel project, and after this is my favorite Marvel series. I'm over the superhero stuff. I think most of us are. I haven't watched any of the series. I didn't even watch the Christmas special of the Guardians, which I still need to. I'll wait till December. I mean, I think most people my age have based like 70% of their personality off Star-Lord and that performance, because it's just, guys, come on, that's our generation's Han Solo. Like, that's the guy that we're all like, yeah, that guy's cool. Specifically by this storyteller, like having James Gunn at the forefront and having the story of this team kind of be wrapped up, and Star-Lord specifically with the journey he's gone on. I relate to quite a bit. I relate to that, having like lost so much, having lost at least what you think is so much, and then having gained so much more perspective, and trying to just go back to your roots and try to figure out who the hell you are as a human being. Because at the end of the day, he was never really an alien. You know, he was always human. And I think he had a tough time accepting that, and now he has no choice. And I like how they ended that. They could have, it doesn't count as a sad ending, it counts as a at peace ending. And I didn't expect that. You know, you would think that's end of series, you need a final. You need it to feel final. It needs to be the end. And James Gunn challenges you and says, no, it doesn't. It just has to be good. It has to make sense. It needs to be sensible. And you need to care for the characters. And the characters, you need to do justice by them. And I believe James Gunn did that. Hats off, man. I'm excited for what you're going to do at DC. Top 5. These are my top 5, my big 5. Look at that hand action with the lens. Woo! So yeah, these 5 little fingers here. This is cream of the crop, boys and girls. Number 5. Talk to Me. Oh my God. The Rocka brothers, those guys, what a club. Big year for YouTubers. This movie was a pure delight to have this in 2023. I mean, there's, my honest opinion, my favorite horror movie of the year. It delivered everything I wanted to. I just loved the aesthetic. It's so different and so creative. I mean, the film got enough praise. I don't have to sit here and sell it to you. If you haven't seen Talk to Me, there's nothing I want to tell you about it that you shouldn't experience for yourself. The movie is worth your time. Especially if you love horror, you will love Talk to Me. And if you're someone trying to get into horror like myself and grow in appreciation, we're so lucky to have a film this imaginative and this entertaining, you know, like this recent. That's actually rocka, guys. I'm excited for what they're going to do next. Love this. Number 4, Killers of the Flower Moon. What can I say? I like me a little Scorsese. Guys, he's the master. Like, who are we kidding at this point? It's Martin. This guy. You have got to be shitting me. Do I not have enough light on? What do you want? Anyway, the robots aren't taking over anytime soon. Clearly. I wasn't necessarily aware of this story. The fact that it's true and that's something that happened here in the United States is terrifying. He delivers the violence and the sincerity so in tension with each other. It was absurdly entertaining. And it's something he does best. It's a story about greed, it's a story about lust, it's a story about desire and consequence, and that's just something Scorsese has done best with his career. He takes these stories about, America and the American experience and capitalism, and he puts it through a lens that we get to observe, and in a weird way we get to really judge our own ambitions. There's one of those scenes in the film, and I mean, if it could be a spoiler, so I apologize. I'm not going to spoil anything big, I promise. But there's a line where DiCaprio is learning to read, and he says, "Can you spot all the wolves in this picture?" And it's a book with like legitimate wolves. But I mean, everyone in the audience, we're not stupid. We're like, oh, you're in a weird way, you're breaking the fourth wall through your character, and you're challenging me to spot all the perceived wolves in this film. And shit like that just makes you want to sit down and burn your screenplay. Just burn everything. Burn the pen, burn the table, burn the house. It's so simple but so effective, and you sit there like really thinking to yourself, we're about to watch a damn good movie. Like you can't help it. It's just 80 years old, huh? 80 years old. What am I doing? Number 3, The Holdovers. This may very well be my favorite Christmas movie. I did see It's a Wonderful Life this year, and I have to admit that is probably the best Christmas movie of them all. But this is now my favorite. Holdovers was so, man, what can I say that anyone who hasn't seen it already has said? Paul Giamatti is a force. The film is so warm. It's so warm, but so sad and so heartbreaking and so beautiful. And it's just, you care about these characters. Stop that. Camera, just stop. It's somber and it's beautiful, and it was a gorgeous experience. I thought the film was pretty much figured out in like the first 45 minutes or so, and then it took a turn, and I think everybody knows what turn. Once you've seen it, you just know that like that turn hits and you're like, oh, I have no idea what this movie is, and then it becomes an even better movie. Anytime a movie can do that, you're like, oh, I'm having a good time, this is a good movie just keep going. Movie takes a turn, you're like, I had no idea a movie was going to take this kind of turn. Movie, what are you doing? And then the movie ends up being better because of that turn. Drum roll. Number 2. Forgive me. Oppenheimer. Hear me. Boys and girls, stop.
The time and barometric triggers started the firing mechanism. A uranium bullet fired down a barrel into a uranium target. Together, they started a nuclear chain reaction. Solid matter began to come apart, releasing untold quantities of energy.
Keep your fingers out of the comment section. This was so hard. Jesus. I hope I don't regret this. Oppenheimer's number 2. Fuck it, I don't give a shit, guys. Listen to me. I loved it. I got to see it in true IMAX. I drove like 6 hours to Indiana, a whole separate state. I crossed countries, if you think about it, to go watch this film the way that Christopher Nolan wanted me to see it. I don't know how many of y'all did that. I did that. Very next morning after I got back with my buddy, saw it in 70mm. And I've watched it in total 3 times. 1570 IMAX, 70mm print, and then digital IMAX. My best theater experience of the year, like in terms of presentation, was probably the 1570 IMAX. I'd never seen IMAX before in like a theater. It was crazy. Guys, it is insane. It is insane. Like the picture is so big. It's so big. Like massive. Massive. Man, oh my God. I hope I don't regret putting this at number 2. It was number 1. It was number 1 until December 30th. The reason for that is because as much as I loved Oppenheimer, I loved the screenplay. It may very well be my favorite screenplay of the year, my favorite score of the year. Cillian Murphy was just incredible, just such a powerhouse, such an intense performance. The film just makes you feel the severity of what happened and what they did and how it affects us today. You know, what they did, man, it was rough. And the film it's no Band-Aid, it's off, it's a complete scar, it's an open wound. And you get to feel all the ickiness of it. And I love Oppenheimer. I want everyone watching this to know, please don't judge me too harshly when I give you my number one pick, but Oppenheimer is phenomenal. It very well may be the best film of the year. And it's a feat for the industry and a massive accomplishment for Christopher Nolan. But when it comes to my favorite films I see in a theater, I gotta be honest to myself, and that means number one, Boys in the Boat. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Boys, you don't believe me, that's fine. Okay, that's all right, we'll go to Letterboxd. Don't believe me? Yeah, that's my list. Boys in the Boat, that's number uno. We sure as hell beat them in 1945. But in 1936, we absolutely whooped them nuts. I'm going to tell you the story about these boys in a boat. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous story. It's everything I want in a movie. I did not expect it. I know none of y'all saw it. That's probably why it's at number one, because I think you should see it. Boys in the Boat. I judged you. Movie. And I'm sorry. I saw the poster get put up at my theater, and I laughed. I remember standing and going, what a cash grab, mismatch, mistake, a directorial debut, and I eat my words. It was the last movie I saw of 2023, so if this is a recency bias, sure. I wouldn't say you're wrong. You can hold that against me. You know, I got to see this. It wasn't a very packed theater, but it was enough people for you to really feel a story. And that's what I really want anyone who's watching this video to walk away with. The reason Boys in the Boat is my favorite movie of the year is because I judged it. I judged this movie really, really hard and too harsh, if I'm being honest. I saw the poster and then I saw the trailer and I laughed at it and I giggled and I said, this is so silly. Why would George Clooney waste his time with this? Just go be like Batman or something. I didn't really understand why a story like this was even relevant, especially in like this year where we had a couple films that were set in the 1940s. This was so special because the story is about an underdog. And maybe they're right. You know, who doesn't love an underdog story, specifically in America? Man, the lead actor, I can't remember your name. It's over here. Well done, my guy. Well done, you very, very wonderfully talented man. I judged this movie with the same lack of faith and interest that the people in 1936 doubted the boys that the film is based on. And I felt like the audience in attendance at every one of the races they won that was just flabbergasted by the feat of these boys' tenacity, their strength, and their desperateness to prove themselves. I was in the theater with no shame, punching my fist in the air and shouting out, "Let's go! USA! USA! USA!" Like, it was just so infectious. The patriotism of it, I guess. And I'm a patriot. I'm not afraid to admit it. It's what I needed. And I think it's the movie that this country needs, especially going into 2024. So, yeah, no shame. Just want to share that with you. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I have to keep doing this now. It's only like one video a year, and I'm always late on it. I'll put my Letterboxd stats here. For anyone who gives a shit. Follow me at Letterboxd over here at this. I'm getting more into it. I'm a pro member, not because I'm better than you, but the shoe fits. I watched more movies this year than I've seen in like the last 4 years. I said this last time and I'll say it again. It is impossible to watch every movie that comes out in a year, but that doesn't mean we should stop trying because how else can you prove it's impossible? Sounded like some cool shit then, and I think it sounds pretty dope now. So yeah, let's see what 2024 brings. I think it's safe to say cinema's back. Rock and roll, guys.